Hey guys, it's Fangirl Wednesday. I'm so excited to be here. Are you excited to be here? You should be. It's gonna be awesome. Probably. I don't know. Who knows what's gonna happen? The world's a mystery. Let's take a sip of tea before anything happens. Aren't you glad to see the Cheshire Cat again? He's very happy to be here. As you can tell, he's smiling quite a bit. Anyway, first of all, I want to apologize for this video being a bit late, guys. To be perfectly honest, I had a little too much fun on St. Patrick's Day, and had a 2-day hangover, and I just did not have the energy or the cognitive processing necessary to make a video, and I very much apologize for that. Totally my bad. Also, the reason why I'm not wearing a lot of makeup today, because I fell asleep in my makeup on St. Patrick's Day, and my skin was not happy about that, so I'm laying off the makeup mostly for this week to kind of, I don't want to irritate it anymore than it's already been. You got powder and mascara, and that's all you get. But we're not here to talk about my face or my skin or my poor life choices on St. Patrick's Day. But you know what? To be fair, as many of you have probably discerned by now, based on my very pale skin and all my freckles and my auburn hair, I'm Irish. I have to celebrate St. Patrick's Day. It would be a dishonor to my culture if I didn't. Watch me trying to rationalize being drunk on a Monday night. Anyway, as I said, we're not here to talk about any of this. We're here to talk about, as it says below, the Uglies Trilogy by Scott Westerfeld. I'm going to give you guys a really quick, not very detailed synopsis of what the books are about, and then I'll tell you what I liked about them. The series consists of uglies, pretties, and specials, which I lost the cover for, and this book is beaten up. It sustained some damage when we moved about 1.5 years ago. So, I'm sorry, book, that you have been through the ringer, but you still work. It's just cosmetic damage. It's just the spine, but it's fine. That trilogy was followed by a book called Extras, also that I've lost the cover of because I'm a terrible human being. But I was not a fan of this book, and I'll explain why later. But first, the story begins with Uglies, and we meet this girl named Tally, who lives in a sort of, I guess you could say, dystopian. We find out it's a dystopian world, about 300 years in the future from now, where everything is regulated, even the way people look. There's sustainable resources and renewable energy and all that great stuff. But there's also regulation of people's bodies. When you turn 16, you get this operation that makes you a pretty. And it perfects your face, perfects your features, it perfects your body, makes you immune to a bunch of diseases. You're good to go. And everybody basically looks the same. There's no war, there's no fighting, because everyone's exactly the same. Everyone has exactly the same things. No one's fighting over anything anymore. So, and everybody has exactly the same skin color, so there's no racism and whatnot like that, but that's a whole other thing. Anyway, Tally meets this girl, Shay, who's turning 16 at the same time as her, and all Tally has ever wanted is to turn 16 and to move to New Pretty Town and be happy and party all night long. All night long, all night. But anyway, that's all Tally's ever wanted, and she meets this girl, Shay, and it turns out Shay does not want to turn into a pretty. Shay wants to stay the way she is, and Shay winds up running away and leaving clues for Tally to follow her if she decides she wants to run away as well. And the government, who is called Special Circumstances, finds out about this, forces Tally to follow Shay into the wild, into this place called the Smoke, and wants her to betray the Smoke so that they can go and get everybody. But when Tally gets to the Smoke, she finds out that the operation that everyone gets when they're 16, the thing that she's wanted her entire life and has been waiting 16 years for, does not just change your face and your body, it also changes your brain. It makes you silly and stupid and vapid and compliant. Very easy to control, basically. They screw with your brain. You get these lesions on your brain that keeps you stupid. And Tally decides she wants to stay in the Smoke, so she destroys the tracker that was given to her by the government, and by destroying it, she accidentally activates it. The government comes, captures a bunch of people, takes them back to the city, Tally and this guy David, who has lived in the wild his entire life and is one of the biggest, most important people in the smoke, they go to rescue people, and they find out that Shay has been turned into a pretty. They take her back to the wild. David's mom, who was one of the founders of the smoke, says that she has developed a cure for having a pretty brain. And since Shay is refusing to take the cure, Tally, because it's untested, Tally volunteers to go back to the city and become a pretty so that they can sneak the cure to her and see if it works on human beings. Now, when Tally becomes a pretty, she forgets a lot of this because she's an idiot now, because she's got the lesions on her brain. And she meets this guy named Zane, who wants to not have a pretty brain either. They kind of lead a bit of a rebellion. They get out, they sneak back to the smoke, but because Zane took the cure with her, he's got some brain damage, and that's very sad. They get captured again, and Tally winds up becoming a special. And to be part of special circumstances, they mess with your brain also. They make you feel angry and superior and all kinds of bad stuff, and eventually everything turns out all right. They rescue people, and the smoke wins, and they overcome the government, and it's all good like that. And the series ends with Zane has died, which is very sad. But Tally and David are staying out in the wild, surviving in the wild. They don't want to return to any of the cities because now that the people are no longer brain damaged and stupid, they're starting to expand back out into the world and sort of destroy the world the way the Rusties did, which was like our era of people just not taking care of the world and destroying things and it being all bad and stuff. Anyway, so they stay out in the wild so that they can kind of control what people are doing to the wild and try and protect the planet and all this crazy stuff. The series continues with the book Extras, which I did not like because at the end of specials, it feels completed. It feels done. It feels like Tally's got a new purpose. She's recovered from Zane's death and all this stuff. And it feels done. It feels like her and David are going to be doing a good thing. They come back in with Extras, which has a different line of characters. All this stuff is different because they've revolutionized the world with the cure and the people are all better. And Tally and everything show up, but it's not the same. And it's just, I was not a fan because I felt like this was superfluous. The series feels finished at the end of specials. Feel free to read Extras. I'm not saying it's not a bad book. I just felt it was unnecessary. But anyway, as for whether I would recommend these or not, absolutely. If you like sci-fi, see, I'm more of a fantasy type girl. Personally, that's what I'd rather read most of the time. But I really enjoyed this series. I don't know if the science was 100% correct. I wouldn't say that. I also wouldn't know because I'm not an expert in that kind of thing. But it made sense in the context of the book, so there wasn't any point where I was like, oh, no, that doesn't make sense, you can't do that. But yeah, I thought it was a very good series. It was very interesting, very interesting characters. There was a good plot, there was a good evil to fight against, you know, and it made sense when, like, her boyfriend Zane, when he dies. Like, you have to experience some loss. It becomes a war type situation and all this kind of bad stuff happening, and it makes sense that someone would die and you would lose someone. So it wasn't like, you know, Twilight where no one's really hurt and everyone ends happy. I'm sorry I keep attacking Twilight for people who like Twilight, but get off my channel if you like Twilight because you don't understand. I don't mean that. Anyway, I would definitely recommend this series. It's very good if you like sci-fi, basically a dystopian, this hair. If you like dystopian stories, 'cause it's basically a dystopian. It's one of those situations where it's presented as a utopian society where everything's perfect and everyone's happy. But really, behind closed doors, it's not like that at all. Which I like. So yeah, I would definitely recommend this series. It's super good. I had intended to go a little bit more in depth into each book, but I reread the books to prep, and guys, I haven't read this series in a few years, and I swear to God, it was like I'd never read it before when I was rereading it. I forgot so much that had happened. These books are way more detailed than I remembered them being. Really, really intense, really, really good, and very action-packed. A lot happens in each book. There's no point where you're reading where you're like, oh, come on, get to the next good part. They're all good parts. It's a very good series. I highly recommend the Uglies series to anybody who likes sci-fi, dystopian sort of stuff. Good series. I highly recommend Scott Westerfeld in general if you like sci-fi. It's very interesting. He's very good. That's the end of our chat today. I'm sorry if it was a little disjointed. I'm still a little fuzzy-brained. Next week, we're going to be talking about the book Cinder by Marissa Meyer, which I just got and am very excited to start reading. It's the first in the Lunar Chronicles, which I believe is supposed to be 4 books, 3 of which are out right now. I got Cinder to try it out, and we'll be reviewing it next week. So if you've read it, definitely let me know down below if you've read Cinder already, if you liked it, or if it sucked and I should bypass it and talk about something else. But I've heard good things, so I'm hopeful. Let me know down in the comments below if you've ever read the Uglies Trilogy or anything by Scott Westerfeld and what you thought. Like this video if you like book reviews. Obviously, I do a lot of them. Or just give me a thumbs up if you're enjoying yourself in general. Please subscribe if you're not already subscribed. Amanda and I do a lot of fun things during the week, and once a week I talk about geeky, fun stuff, and we enjoy ourselves. So please come on back. Sorry, I'm in a very weird mood today. As I said, next week we'll be talking about Cinder by Marissa Meyer, so feel free to read it in advance. Since we're only going to be talking about one book, we will be able to get into more details, and I will be very descriptive about how I felt. Until then, I'll see you next time. Enjoy your tea until we talk again. Bye.